Watch this clip. Would you believe me if I said this was given as a penalty? What about this? Well, both were given. This is an example of gamesmanship, the use of dubious methods to win or gain a serious advantage in a game, pushing the rules to the limit without getting caught. You might know it as a different term, the dark arts. Players using all sorts of dirty tactics and tricks to try and win their team games, doing whatever it takes to gain that advantage. So is this cheating, or are you allowed to win by any means necessary? And just how effective can the dark arts really be? Well, the answer might genuinely surprise you. Dark arts has a wide range of effectiveness. It can be anywhere from taking 30 seconds off the clock to single-handedly winning your team the game. The most important thing to note is that dark arts means doing whatever is necessary to help your team win. But this term has become very controversial, now used to describe teams that use cheating tactics. So what makes dark arts dark? There's a specific type of tactic that fans will always complain about: anti-football. Not necessarily teams that are very defensive, but teams that have no intentions of actually playing the sport. Things like time wasting and trying to win cheap fouls. Tactics that actively take away from the enjoyment of football, and is often criticized as it's seen as cheap and boring compared to tactics that make the game more exciting, like mind games and winding up your opponent. There's also the unsportsmanlike aspect of it. Football is supposed to be a fair game, but very rarely is. Watching players go down, fake injured in an attempt to get the other team to kick the ball out, only for them to pop right back up, is cynical, as well as faking a head injury so the ref is forced to stop the game. But is it unsportsmanlike to not kick the ball out of play? Leeds were in this situation and chose to ignore the fair play after a Villa player went down and ended up scoring. This sparked huge controversy, but Leeds didn't break any rules. Villa should have played to the whistle, but due to the unsportsmanlike nature, Bielsa ended up giving Villa a free goal back. There's something about breaking that unwritten code that won't sit right with some people, but there's one thing that truly does make dark arts dark: deception. Trying to trick the referee into giving you an advantage. The main way this is done is diving. There's diving to try and get your opponent sent off, which isn't the same as starting a fight and your opponent lashing out, although that's a dark art too. There's also everybody's favorite, get hit in the chest and go down holding your face, one that somehow actually works. Then there's diving to try and win a penalty, trying to deceive the ref into thinking any actual contact was made so you can win a spot kick. This is easily the most controversial dark art of them all. The difficult thing about diving is that it's still extremely subjective. There are some penalties a ref will give that will look very soft, while some refs might book the same player for diving. The line is very thin. But there's a dark art that seems to be much more accepted than the others: the tactical foul, stopping an opponent while on an attack or on a counter. These don't have the same dark nature and are a tactic that is often met with praise of intelligence. People see this more as a doing what needs to be done tactic rather than anti-football or deception. Case in point, the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity foul. When an opponent is through on goal with nothing but the keeper to beat, making that foul is one people know is necessary. It's always a straight red, so the crime fits the punishment, but in times of desperation, it's absolutely worth it so that you can win a game. Like Suarez in the 2010 World Cup, he was willing to do whatever he needed to stop Ghana scoring and became a part-time goalie in order to do that. He was sent off, but that moment won the game for them as Gian missed the penalty that followed. Did he cheat? Well, yeah, he broke the rules, but he also did get caught and was punished for it. Most people today see this as an act of game-winning heroics. If you're Ghanaian, you probably see this as cheating, but Asamoah Gyan admitted he would have done the same thing if the roles were reversed. The thing about dark arts is that when it happens against your team, it's so easy to complain about them. But when it's your team time wasting or tactical fouling, you cheer. But in recent times, it seems like neutral fans have started to voice their hatred for such tactics. Teams who apply the dark art are now more scrutinized, and you even have other teams complaining when they do so. However, these gamesmanship tactics are far from new in football. They've been around for as long as the sport has, from Maradona's hand of God to Andreas Moller's famous dive in 1995. Players like Roy Keane and Diego Simeone were known for their dark arts. Buying fouls, time wasting, they're all just part and parcel of the game, and are way more common than you think. Legends of the game have dived to try and win a penalty, or sneakily put the ball in with a hand. The reality is, every player you know has at some point used the dark arts. So why is this so common? Well, these athletes compete at the highest level and naturally just have a tendency to do whatever it takes to win. It's instinct. But the reason they do it over and over again is because they can. You don't really get punished for using any of these cynical tactics. If you trip someone over off ball, it doesn't even get called as a foul. If you waste time or dive or whatever it may be, the worst thing that could possibly happen is you get a yellow card. If you're stupid enough to do those things while booked, then you might get sent off. And that's it. There's no post-game punishments for diving or time wasting, no fines, nothing. So why not dive? If you feel you can win a penalty, you go down under minimal, sometimes no contact. Best case scenario, you win a pen and a goal for your team. Worst case scenario, you get a yellow card. The reward heavily outweighs the risk. Same goes with all of these tactics. Someone hits you in the chest, you go down holding your face in agony trying to win a free kick, or even get someone sent off. You receive literally no punishment, but on the flip side, you might get someone a red card. These things happen so much, we've kind of just accepted them. Like when a keeper catches the ball and falls down to the ground for no reason other than time wasting, we accept it. And as for faking injuries, well, who's to say they're faking? Sometimes they might actually be injured or have a cramp. A ref sees someone go down holding their head, they have to stop the game. Players will abuse that, but what if a player actually suffered a serious head injury? Yet there's no post-match fines for faking any of this stuff. Despite that, there's a much larger reason why gamesmanship is so widespread in football. Italy versus Belgium, Euro 2020 quarter-final. Italy were 2-1 up when in the 76th minute, Spinazzola went down with an injury. From that point to the final whistle in the 97th minute was 21 minutes of game time. Yet the ball was in play for just 9 minutes, during which there were 22 stoppages. Players going down injured, delaying the restart. Italy were able to see out the game by doing this over and over. They did what many teams have done in the past and wasted as much time as they could and made a whole 12 minutes disappear. This is the reason dark arts are so common. They are extremely effective. They can be the difference between winning and losing. How well you can dive, waste time, rattle your opponent, they all can contribute heavily to your winning chances. And if you're a smaller team desperate to try and hold on to a good result against a powerhouse, using the dark arts really can be the difference. They help disrupt the flow of the game, not allowing your opponents to gather any momentum. It's also about making your opponents feel uncomfortable, giving hard tackles to let him know you're there. You want them to be on edge. See if you can pressure them into making a mistake and take advantage of them when they do. Managers like Mourinho and Simeone have perfected the dark arts, notorious for teams that are rough, cunning, time wasting, surrounding the ref, you name it, their teams did it. With both playing a very defensive style of play too, it makes their teams near unbeatable. Opponents hated facing them and complained about them in the media. Those two managers were extremely successful using these tactics, and they did whatever it took to win, literally. These guys have a reputation for playing that way, but the truth is, all great managers found a way to incorporate dark arts into their tactics. Fergie was extremely good at using the dark arts to create a united team that were feared. Even Pep mastered the tactical foul with Busquets, Fernandinho, and then when Rodri came along, he made sure to teach him the exact same thing. Now we're seeing managers like Howe and Arteta use dark arts to help their teams win now too. Not to mention, all these managers were experts at mind games, knowing exactly what to say to try and get the one up. Whether it is falsely praising your opponent or pretending as if one of your players is injured just for them to appear on the team sheet for the game. These managers all manage big clubs as well, but even managers of small teams who base their entire team around dark arts and being difficult to play against see massive success. Sean Dyche, Alan Pardew, and the dark arts master himself, Tony Pulis, whose team were known for breaking legs, long throws and set pieces, and wearing teams down until they had nothing left. He made a living by specifically creating teams that were just really uncomfortable to play against, and it worked. There's a reason he won Premier League Manager of the Season with Palace in 2014, and why the ultimate test for a footballer is, can they do it on a cold rainy night in Stoke? Even on the biggest stage, we've seen dark arts be used to single-handedly win games, like Henry's infamous handball goal that sent France to the World Cup. There's Grosso's 94th minute winner stumble dive that helped Italy win a tense round of 16 tie in the 2006 World Cup. Even Ronaldo trying to bait his own Man United teammate to get sent off at the same World Cup, trying to rattle him, and then after his nut stump running to the referee to get him gone. And who can forget that wink? But what about a dark art that was so effective they had to completely change the rules of the game because of it? Trying to put off a penalty taker is something many players and keepers have tried to do, with trash talking, delaying the penalty, and even scuffing up the penalty spot. It's something that didn't always work, Until he came along, Emmy Martinez, a dark arts wizard, someone who perfected how to get into the heads of every penalty taker. It started at the 2021 Copa America, where thanks to no crowd noise, we got to hear him brutally rip into his opponents.
Went sort of mid-height to the goalkeeper's left against Uruguay. Commentary from Emiliano Martinez, and Mina will return fire.
It's interesting, like dynamics with no fans here. You can hear all the trash talking.
They played together like separate teams in England. Another save, Martinez, 2 in a row.
This helped him and Argentina win the tournament, and he found a new way to get one up. It became the norm for him after this. He simply studied the mind games too well. Players started to fear him, and he used his tricks on the biggest stage, the 2022 World Cup. In the quarters against the Netherlands, it was another penalty shootout where he was back to his usual tricks. He ended up making 2 saves and helped Argentina progress to the World Cup final. Yet another penalty shootout, and we got to see just how effective the dark arts could really be. Martinez made a big save for Coleman's penalty. Then Tchouaméni stepped up. The ref placed the ball on the spot, but Martinez does this. Not even the ref can stop him, and by now, Tchouaméni's mind is racing, overthinking about where he should put the pen. He steps up and puts it wide. Thanks to the dark arts, he done enough to win his country the biggest trophy in sports. His mind games mixed with his incredible saving technique made him the best penalty stopper in the world, and his record says it all. But his dark arts became so effective that they actually banned keepers from doing them. Just 3 months after the World Cup, the IFAB announced keepers can no longer touch the goalpost and nets, delay the penalty, distract the taker, or fail to show respect. But was what Emmy Martinez did so terrible that they needed to change the rules of the game? Why haven't they changed the rules for other gamesmanship tactics? At the end of the day, it's not like what he did was cheating. And if it was, where do we draw the line? When do dark arts actually become cheating? Obviously, certain tactics like handball goals are 100% cheating. But then when does diving become cheating? Those super obvious no one touched you dives are 100% cheating. They're against the rules and honestly quite pathetic when you look back at some of them. However, there's the dives where minimal contact is made. Not enough to make a grown man fall over, but contact nonetheless. One popular dive you see a lot is when a striker rounds the keeper dives in but just about pulls out, meaning they didn't really touch them. Yet 9 times out of 10, if the attacker initiates contact, a penalty is given. Could you call this cheating? It's easy to make that argument, yet it's rewarded over and over. What's the threshold of contact being made to say, yes, this is 100% a dive? Alan Shearer's take on this is interesting. If you're traveling at speed with the ball at your feet, the slightest touch could put you off balance. If a defender is diving in, you can jump out the way. But why would you if the result would be contact, a free kick, and an advantage for your team? When the touch comes, you are within your rights to go down. So if any sort of contact made means a player can fall, is this a dive? I mean, there's contact. Well, what about this? Again, there's contact. Yet the Haaland one was given as a penalty, and Vinny's one, well, he was clowned for it. What's the difference here? Haaland easily could have stayed on his feet. Instead, he dives and gets rewarded for it. The line between a dive and a foul is too blurry. Well, what about if you don't technically break any rules? Luis Adriano ignored the fair play on the field, and when the ball was given back to his opponent, he took the ball and ended up scoring. It was very unsportsmanlike, but not technically against the rules. It wasn't until after the game he got a 1-game suspension for violation of the principles of conduct. Yet Thierry Henry's handball goal against Ireland saw him escape punishment. In fact, 99% of divers don't get suspensions, despite that being against the rules. Same with Mourinho in 2010, who in typical dark arts fashion told Ramos and Xabi Alonso to get sent off so they would be suspended for a group game and reset their yellow cards for the knockouts. A loophole in the system. Yet UEFA saw this and banned Jose for 2 matches. as well as fining all the parties involved despite not breaking any rules. You break the rules, you might get punished. You don't break the rules, you also might get punished. So if you're gonna get punished, why not bend the rules to try and win? Players who like to be honest and not use the dark arts are not rewarded for it. Think of players who were hit in the box but wanted to be honest and stay on their feet. They got punished for it. Take Foden here. He pickpockets the goalie and the goalie dives in and clearly fouls Foden. Yet he tries to stay on his feet and keep play going. No penalty is awarded. But if Foden goes down here, rolling around in agony, a pen is 100% given. Craziest thing, VAR looked at this and still decided it wasn't a penalty. This is why players dive. It's happened so many times as well, where if a player decides to dive rather than stay up, 9 times out of 10 they get a penalty. Honesty is not rewarded in this sport. This goes for time wasting, tactical fouls, mind games, all of it. Teams are consistently gaining advantages through dark arts, so why not gain an advantage too? If you're a manager and you have to win to keep your job, best believe you're pulling out all of the tactics. That's what football has come to today. So how can we change this so this isn't the new norm? Well, let's make this clear. It's not like governing bodies haven't tried to combat this stuff already. They started handing fines for players surrounding the ref and making it so that only the captain can talk to the ref, started giving yellow cards for delaying the restart. They used to give bans for diving, even extra time added on at the end of games. But did any of that work? Nope. Players still hound refs, delay restarts and dive. And now there's the new rule that if the keeper holds the ball for more than 8 seconds, the ref would award the opposition a corner. But let's see how long they stick with that one. Can't wait for this to be enforced 3 times, then never again. There's a problem with the fact these punishments are so loosely enforced, inconsistent across the board. Something that one player will get sent off for, another will get away with. There's also the case of how harsh is too harsh. If players are getting red cards for the tiniest infringements, then we will start seeing matches finish with 4 red cards per game, and no one wants to see that. Plus, the one thing people rarely mention is, let's say they ban all of the current dark arts tactics. Well, managers and players will just find more loopholes and more tactics to exploit. That's the name of the game. So I'm not even sure there is a way to stop it at this point. In an ideal world, the only way to stop all of these frustrating tactics is for everyone to play 100% honestly with good sportsmanship, and then we wouldn't have this problem. Yeah, that's never gonna happen, ever. The truth about dark arts boils down to this. We could accept dark arts as part of the game, understand that players will waste time, dive, foul, argue, etc., and stop trying to police it so much. Just keep things the way they are. Or we can accept gamesmanship is simply too rewarding in football. Entire games, championships have been decided off this stuff. It's why teams dedicate so much time to dark arts, because it can be the difference between winning and losing. These tactics aren't new in football, but should we just blindly accept these rule benders, or should there actually be a fix to all of this? Let me know your thoughts on dark arts in the comments, and be sure to check out the last video right here.